following is a presentation of the Fellowship Church at Anthem, a community of faith, love, and hope. For more information, please visit fellowshipanthem.com.
Hey, I got a request. You guys can be seated. That wasn't the request, though. I want to take a look at those words of that song again.
Okay.
And then I just want us to kind of sing it a little bit again. Yeah. So, Caleb, let's think about these words with me. Because in the hard moments of our life, what we get is the opportunity to seek God. You know, when life's good and things are rolling good and everything's happy and we feel like we're, living the dream, it's those moments we kind of forget sometimes that God is still directing, guiding, loving, protecting. And then all of a sudden, some weeks it feels like the wheels just came off. And it's like, God, where are you? What is up? Maybe this is one of those weeks for you where you're just like, man, God, no matter where I look, I just can't seem to see you or find you or feel you. All I feel is pain or confusion, or doubt, worry, fear. And I love the words of this tune. The more that I seek you, the more that I find you. And what I find in my experience is sometimes in those hard moments, those are the moments where I look hardest for him. I seek him the most. And then there's a breakthrough. Sometimes in the middle of the deepest pain, there's a breakthrough. And he's like, I've been here all the time. Don't worry. Just relax. Calm down. I've been here all the time. So I want us to just sing this little tune again. And if you're in the middle of one of your moments of life crisis, don't quite know where God's at, take this moment just to seek him. Maybe even just speak those words to him. God, I can't seem to locate you right now. Where are you? Where are you? Show yourself. Reveal yourself. Help me see you. Help me find you. Help me feel you. And I believe he'll do that. So take a moment right now and through the words of this song, use it just to seek him. You do that.
Seek you, the more I find you, the more I find you, the more I love you. I want to sit at your feet, drink from the cup against you and breathe and feel your heartbeat. This love is so deep, it's more than I can stand. I'm melting your peace, it's overwhelming. The more I seek you, the more I find you, the more I find you, the more I love you. Oh, I want to sit at your feet, drink from the cup in your hands, lay back against you and breathe and feel your heartbeat. I seek you, the more I find you. The more I find you, the more I love you.
Let's pray together. God, there's a lot of things happening in the lives of many of us this morning that we don't quite have understanding for and don't seem to have good explanations of. And yet, you have committed to us that you would be with us. You would never walk away from us. You would never forsake us. You'd never leave us. And some days, God, it just is it's challenging for us to walk in the truth of that reality because we feel very alone. Might even feel abandoned, pushed aside. I ask that this morning you would use the words of the song and use the words that you put in my heart today just to help us connect with you. For some of us, it might be a reconnection. We might have felt disconnected from you for a while. Today is a reconnection. For others, it might be just a renewed sense of your presence in our life. A great reminder. Oh, that's right, God. Thank you for being there. So open up our hearts today, God, to truth. Let us connect with the deep spirit that lives within us, that is connected to you. In Jesus' name, amen. I really, really, really love the band, don't you guys? Those guys are terrific. We're working on something we call Band in Your Pocket. Band in Your Pocket. And it's what we're doing is taking our band and we're creating a virtual, three-dimensional little model of the band. And you can put them right in your pocket and pull them out, set them on your desk, hit play, and they'll be there playing. Jim will be in the back, playing this bass and doing the bongos every now and then. Josh will be up here growing scruff and looking cool and faux hawk and all that. Nikki will be over here with her braids and stuff. And it'll be on your desktop. You can just three-dimensional. But until then, you just have to show up here every Sunday. And they're real. They're real. And don't they help us connect to God? It's so amazing just to hear the words of those songs and sometimes just how they open up our hearts to the deeper reality of who God is and what he's about. Well, we are in week 2 of a series called The 4 Agreements. And it's based on a little book that I recommended to you a couple weeks ago, and I know some of you are reading along, following along. And the premise is that, as we walk through our life, particularly early in our life, we make agreements with ourselves about what we come to believe. In other words, our belief systems. And they forge who we are. They forge the way we think and the way we believe, and then subsequently the way we live out our lives. And oftentimes, the agreements that we make with ourselves are shaped by external influences, particularly when we're very young. When people say things to us like, you're not smart, or you're dumb, or you're ugly, or you can't sing, or you're fat, or whatever, we get an image in our mind, and we stick with that image, and we live that image out the rest of our life. And unfortunately, sometimes those beliefs get reinforced in our minds, and they're just not accurate. They're not true. They do not reflect who God really made us to be. And so subsequently, then we live lives that are below standards of God and below par and not fulfilling of our true potentiality. And so Don Miguel Ruiz wrote this little book called The 4 Agreements. And he says basically that if we make these 4 agreements with ourselves or commitments to ourselves, it's a better version of life. And although he wasn't necessarily what many of us would consider a mainline Christian, he certainly was a deeply spiritual teacher. And out of his teaching, these 4 agreements arise. And for us that sort of like hold on to the teachings of Jesus, it's really easy to see that these teachings of Jesus and the teachings of Ruiz, there's unbelievable alignment. And ultimately, when you live your life by the teachings of Jesus, your life just gets better. It just works better. And unfortunately, sometimes religion makes it hard just to live by simple agreements or simple systems of belief. So we're talking about these 4 agreements, and here are the four of those. First one we talked about last week, be impeccable with your words and how your words have power, whether they're spoken with your lips or whether they're occurring in the videotape of your mind. When you're talking to yourself and the words that are rolling through your head and the words that are coming out of your lips, those words have power. They have the power to create life, or they have the power to make death. And Peg showed me this week this really incredible video. If you want to see something really remarkable about the power of words, you can Google something like water and the miracle of words or something like that. You can just put anything into the Oracle and she will give you something back. Just put something in like that, water and words. And what they did is these tests. They did these tests on water, and they looked at the crystalline structure of water and how it was affected by certain words or sounds or music even. And what was really interesting was that negative, low-conscious, force-based words all had a very damaging effect on the power of water, and positive energy and positive words and verses of Scripture from the Bible and other sacred writings, they all had a very high energy, and they created beauty in the crystalline structure of water. And so you don't have to believe it. That's okay. There's a lot of things in life that you don't believe that you probably should anyway. But be impeccable with your words. Your words have power. Don't sin with your words. And by sin, we don't mean saying, oh, shoot, or the alternative, or darn, or damn, or hell, or those. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is your words have to be on target. Positive, powerful, affirming, valuable, honoring, life-giving. Your words have power. So be on target with your words. Secondly, and we're talking about this today, don't take anything personally. We'll talk more about that in just a second. Next week's agreement is don't make assumptions. And I guess, I'm assuming that you'll be here next week by saying that. So maybe that's an assumption. Sorry about that. But anyway, we'll talk about that next week if next week arrives. And then a couple weeks from now, always do your best. And Ruiz simply says, if you just live your life by these simple 4 agreements, if you make contracts with yourself to live your life like this, by watching what you say inside your head and outside your head, by not being offended and taking things personally, by not assuming things, and then by always striving to do your best, your life will just work better. And Jesus would affirm every one of these teachings. And so let's dive in today to the second one. Don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. I had, when I was growing up, I had some personal things that came into my life that affected me, in painful ways. And one of the things that I realized in the 3rd grade was that my parents, I didn't realize this before 3rd grade, but in the 3rd grade, I realized that my parents had named me Teddy. And I didn't think that much about it until one time in the 3rd grade, I heard someone call me by my first and my last name simultaneously. Teddy Baird. Teddy Baird. And what happened to me was I began to realize that I was a little furry, roly-poly, soft, large-eared, large-snouted bear. I was a bear. I was a teddy bear. And I didn't like it at all. And it began to form an agreement in my head. And I thought, well, I'm a teddy bear. I'm a teddy bear. And people would, they would hug me and squeeze me, and they would pick on me, and they'd throw me down, and they would leave me behind. And I was a teddy bear, and I decided I'm not going to be a teddy bear anymore. And so all the people that were making fun of me for my name being Teddy Baird, I decided that they needed to leave the planet. So I began a personal mission in the 3rd grade of, making sure that they knew that Teddy Baird was not a nice little cuddly, snuggly, huggy, soft creature. He was a mean, ferocious grizzly. And I changed my name. I changed my name to Ted the Bloody-Nosed Baird. That was my name for a little while. I spent a lot of time in detention during that year, but I got my name changed, and I got the image changed in my mind that I was not a cuddly, soft little creature. I was mean and ferocious. And please don't ever call me Teddy Baird. I'm just kidding. You can call me that now. I'm over that. All right, but what I realize is that, how often we can take things personally, especially when we're young, right? Teddy bear. Teddy bear, you're a teddy bear. Like, right? We take things in and we get offended. So here's the truth of the day, and I'm gonna give this to you a couple times. You might want to write this down somewhere, either on a piece of paper or have this tattooed on your body or something. But this is a great piece. What people think of me is none of my business. What people think of me is none of my business. Now, some of you are immediately pushing back on that. And it's okay. We'll talk about that in just a little bit, about why it's hard for us to believe that. But let's unpack it a little bit. Let me ask you a question. Here's a question for you. Answer honestly, or there will be a light bulb go off above your head that will indicate that you have just lied to yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, how easily offended do you get? Scale of 1 to 10, how easily offended do you get? That's not very good grammar, because I must have been a little bit sleepy when I wrote that. And we have a grammarian in the audience, and she came up to me a couple weeks ago, and she said, "You're awesome, but your grammar sucks." And so I got offended. I was like, "Hey, listen, don't apostrophe talk to me like that anymore." So how easily offended do you get? Are you somebody that walks through life and it's like your offender button is just hanging out there? And everything everybody says to you, you get all bristly. You get all, what do they mean by that? What are they trying to say? Did you see the way they looked at me? Did you hear the tone of their voice? I can't believe you talked to me like that. After all that I've done, and that's the way you're going to treat me? It's like their offender buttons are just out there, and they're big. And you don't have to push hard. You can just barely touch it. It's like a touch screen offender button. You just touch it and like, huh? They go to 10. How easily, scale of 1 to 10, how easily do you get offended? If you get offended very easily, it's because you take things very personally. Maybe too personally. And you haven't yet learned the value of this simple truth: don't take anything personally. What people think about you is none of your business. You can't control it. You can't help what people think about you. Think about it. On your job or in your family or in your dynamic relationships of life, sometimes you work so hard to do the right things as you believe them. And the consequences of it are that people don't like you. And what do? We get offended. We're like, what's wrong with them? Exactly. Problem may not be with you at all. It may have everything to do with the people around you. Sometimes I see people out, in public in restaurants, and they'll be like, "Hey, you're the church guy." I'm like, "Yes, I am. I am the church guy." And we'll have a conversation about church or whatever. But a lot of times I'll get feedback from people after the fact, and they'll be like, "Hey, I saw you in the restaurant the other day, and you didn't even speak to me." I'm like, "You're right. I didn't. I saw you, and I intentionally ignored you because you're a mean person, and you deserve to be ignored." And I said in my heart that morning that every person that I saw today, I was going to offend in some possible way. And so I decided that today when I saw you, this would be my offense to you. Just be glad I didn't say something to you. Right? It's like, you saw me and you didn't say anything to me. I didn't see you. But I saw you. I know. But I didn't see you. Or, sometimes I'll say things to people, even on stage, and they'll come up to me afterwards and they'll be like, "Hey, you said such and such and so-and-so on certain date." And I'm like, "I did?" "Yeah." I'm like, "All right, well, I didn't mean it. Sorry." Or, "I didn't say that." Or, "You took it wrong." Or, "I didn't mean it like that." I mean, there's a million ways that things spin out that all of a sudden, if our offender buttons are out there, they get easily pressed by the people around us, and we don't even realize they're happening. And it's because our images are shaped so much by our perceptions of what other people think about us. And think about that. Our self-talk, our self-thought, our understanding of ourselves, the way we operate our lives, the agreements that we make for ourselves are often shaped, listen carefully, by the perceptions we have of what other people think about us. You see the double trouble in that? So I perceive my thoughts about what you think about me. I think that you think that I'm this. What we're really saying is that I may not have any idea what you think, but I think you think this, and this may not be at all what you're thinking, but if I think that you think that you're thinking this, then it must be true. And it may not have any basis whatsoever for our lives. Now, some of you right now, take an inventory. Some of you right now, you're at a 7. You're all hacked off. You're all ticked off. Something's got you all worked up. Somebody did something. Somebody said something. Somebody didn't do something they said they were going to do. You're all worked up about it. Take a little inventory and ask yourself, why am I so offended? Why did this wound me so personally? Ruiz says that it is, in the end, it's our attachments that cause us to take things so personally. And when you think about it, the deepest attachment that we have is ourselves. We are attached to ourselves. Social media has done a lot to really help bolster our self-confidence in this culture, hasn't it? Right? I have 670 friends on Facebook. And then all of a sudden one day you'll be like, I got to post on so-and-so's wall. And you go and you try to post on their wall and you realize you've been unfriended by them. It's like, hang on a second. What happened? I thought we were friends. But my friend defriended me. And then all of a sudden we're like, what did I do? What did I say? Did I post something mean? Did they not like me anymore? And all of a sudden our perception of ourselves gets dramatically shaped by the lack of, quote, friends we have on Facebook. Or the way our friends treat us. Or the way they defriend us. It's very interesting to think about the way we are perceived in the eyes of others and how personally we can take something so virtually, like social media. All right, so here's another great statement of truth that sort of drives this point home. Take nothing personally. How others act is a reflection of who they are, not who you are. Take nothing personally. How other people act is a reflection of who they are, not who I am. This is going to be a hard truth for some of us to come to grips with, particularly if we are high control people and we believe we have the capacity to influence the world in direct ways for our own benefit. But I literally do not have the power to make you do anything or feel anything or say anything in any way. And think about this in your most intimate relationships. Sometimes we get at each other because you made me feel this way. Well, not really. No, you chose to feel that way. Think about a little phrase that we say. You made me so mad. Well, why'd you give your power away? Why'd you give me the capacity to make you mad? I didn't make you mad. You chose to be mad. I might have done something that was potentially offensive to you. But in the end, you are the one who made the choice to feel a certain way about a certain thing that I did. It's your choice. Coming to the place where we can make agreements with ourselves that I have complete responsibility for what I choose to think, what I choose to believe, what I choose to feel. When I take responsibility for my own feelings, for my own thoughts, and for my own beliefs, that's when I become in control of me. The only one I really can control. So take nothing personally. How others act is a reflection of who they are, not who you are. This week I was driving down Anthem Way, and I was trying to mind my own business, as I've learned more and more to do, particularly in driving situations. used to mind everyone else's business. And then I realized that what other people drive is none of my business. And so I'm driving down Anthem Way and just minding my own business. It was, that the day that the Haboob came through, and I was looking at the sky, and it was all, dirty, but it had its own, desert beauty and everything, and I was just checking it out, and a car comes zooming around me. Zooming around me down Anthem Way. I was like, they need to be told what to do. It comes zooming past me. I'm driving, just under the speed limit, naturally. And so this means they're driving way over the speed limit when they come zooming around me for no apparent reason. And so after they zoom around me, that's not enough. They cut right back in front of me. And I'm like, oh, it's on. Listen, suburbia, we have children at play here. I'm going to have to have a little chitty chat with them. So, did I say I was driving the minivan? Yeah, I was driving the minivan. Peg's van. And so I decided to pull up next to him and just give him a little wag, right? Because I know at this point they have taken offense at the fact the minivan was apparently driving too slow in what they assumed was the suburban passing lane. And so as I pull up next to them, ready to wag the finger, they're on the phone. And they're looking around, and they're looking at the water park. They're looking at the community center. And they're looking at the remnants of the Haboob. They have no idea that I am even on the planet. But my perception was that they had intentionally swerved around me, zoomed past me, cut back in front of me to send a loud and clear message to me that, Mr. Minivan driver, you do not know what you are doing. And that whole reality in my mind was absolutely, it existed nowhere other than in my mind. Because they were somewhere other world, talking, laughing on the phone, smiling, cutting up. And I'm thinking, I'm going to have to give them a really big finger wag. They couldn't see it. They were looking at the water park, talking on the phone. And then it dawned on me, it's like, I shouldn't take anything personally. 'Cause how they just reacted, that's not about me. That was a reflection of them. And it had absolutely nothing to do with me. But my belief, my agreement with myself at that moment was it had everything to do with me. And so it led me to a moment of frustration. It led me to a moment of challenge. And it was completely unfounded. So, let me give you a couple things this morning about not taking things personally. First of all, realize you do not know the story that has informed other people's actions. You just don't know it. Gosh, guys, I keep coming back to this in my life so much. All of the judgments that we make about other people, we really have no basis for them. Until we sit down with them and hear their story. And until we take time to understand what's driving certain attitudes or certain behavior, certain beliefs in that person, we have absolutely no idea what stories have shaped the way they see the world, the way they feel about themselves, and subsequently the way they respond to the world based on the way they feel about themselves. We have so many people walking around our planet today with such a sense of inferiority, that they're not good enough, they're not capable enough, they're not smart enough, they're not beautiful enough, they're not enough, whatever. And that sense of insufficiency, that lack of self-capacity reflects out in all kinds of behavior that has absolutely nothing to do with me. Zero. And if I don't walk into virtually every single conversation of my life, and every single encounter of my life, and every single hard moment of my life, realizing that there's a story behind every single action that every person inflicts on me, right? Because I got my big offender buttons out there. I'm going to miss something very powerful. I'm going to miss the opportunity for me to grow. I'm going to miss the opportunity that they have no idea that they've just tried to wreck my day. I'm going to miss the opportunity to maybe have positive influence into their life, a source of energy, a connection point to God, an alternative view on how to respond to life. It's very, very hard to come to the place where I stop first and try to understand before I jump to a conclusion about this other person. So realize I don't know the story that's informed this person's actions. What that does for me, if I'm naturally hanging out there with my bristly buttons, just waiting for them to be touched and punched and, connected to by other people, what it allows me to do, first of all, I can tuck them back in. I can just tuck them in and I can go, you know what? I don't know the whole story here. I'm not going to make a judgment. My immediate reaction, because my offender buttons was out, was to label this person idiot, imbecile, angry person. But you know what? I'm going to tuck them back. I'm going to hold the judgment back. I'm going to hold my natural tendency to be offended back. And I'm going to wait. That's the first step in this process of really not taking anything personally. Here's the second step. This seems so blatantly obvious, doesn't it? Just because they think it doesn't mean it's true. Right? I was wearing these white jeans this week. And I got to say, I look pretty damn good on them. It's true. That's what I think, and it's true. And one of my buddies came up to me and he said, wow, you got white jeans on. I'm like, yes, I do. He's like, I didn't know you could do that. Like, I could do anything I want. And I only do what looks awesome. We had a little conversation about it. And I was sort of in the middle of mentally preparing this talk, and I just busted out point number 2 on him because he's pushing back on it. He's like, you don't really, you're a little bit old for white jeans, because he's younger. And he's like, you're a little bit old for white jeans, and I didn't know you could do, like, white jeans. White linen you could do, but white jeans, I don't think you could really do that. And I just busted out point number 2. Hey, just because you think it doesn't mean it's true. You can think whatever you want to think about me. I don't care. It doesn't mean it's true. Might be your truth, but it doesn't need to be my truth. But we are so affected by what other people think about us, aren't we? What if we just started wearing what we want to wear because it's what we liked to wear, rather than what we thought other people would think would be cool for us to wear? Or what if we started choosing a career path or following a career path because it's what we wanted to do, not because of what was imposed on us by our culture or our family or our surroundings or our lifestyle? What if we just said, you know what, this is what I want to do. This is my truth. Just because somebody else says something or thinks something about you doesn't mean that it's true. You don't have to accept it as that. They can be as convinced as they want to be about something regarding you. It does not mean it's true. Their capacity to judge rightness about you doesn't take into consideration anything you're trying to do for them. When you suspend judgment about not knowing their story, you kind of want them to do the same. But if they don't, you can't help it. They create some judgment about you that's not accurate. You can't help that. Just because they think it doesn't mean that it's true. That's a tough one sometimes because we want to be liked by people. We want to be pleasing to people. Some of us are infected with the people-pleasing virus, and at any cost, we'll make other people try to feel better about us. And sometimes it gets in the way of what's real and what's true in us. It's so funny, though, isn't it? I mean, maybe you're one of these people. Maybe you know someone like this, but it's like if I'm going to take a poll and I'm going to go, I'm going to ask 10 people what they think about my white jeans? What if I find 5 people who go, those are the rockinest jeans in the history of jeans. You should wear them every day. I did have one person say to me this week when I was wearing these, you look like Miami Vice. Well, you know what? I don't mind that. Don Johnson drove around in a Ferrari. I don't care. What's wrong with that? So I ask all these 5 people, what do you think about my white jeans? They're like, those jeans are rocking, dude. You need to wear them every single day. They're amazing, and they make you look amazing. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for verifying truth. But I asked these 5 people, what do you think about my white jeans? And a couple of them are like, wow, that was quite a haboob we had, wasn't it? And then another couple of them were like, well, you know, they're white. And then a couple of them will be really honest. They'll be like, dude, you should not wear those. You're too old. Those are too white. You know, something's wrong. Just take them off. Just take them off. So what do I do with these 5 people who I love and value their opinion and these 5 people who I love and value their opinion, and they are in conflict with each other? What do? I'm in a quagmire. I'm in a jean quagmire. Just because they think it doesn't mean it's true. Just because all these people think my jeans don't look cool doesn't mean it's true. What does that also mean about these people? Just because they think it's cool doesn't mean it's true. Right? This principle of not taking anything personally, not only does it apply to all the negativity that sometimes gets, sort of projected at us, it also has to do with the positivity. Just because people tell you you're great doesn't mean you're great. You have to come to a place where you actually own that and believe that somewhere deep down inside. You have to live your own truth. That's very hard to do in a world where we are so easily swayed by the opinions of others. All right, here's number 3. Even if they intended to harm me, how I take it determines how it affects me. I have this belief, and I might be wrong about this, but I'm going to choose to believe this until I die. I really believe that most people in the world, at least most of the ones that I'm connected to, most of the people that my life touches are inherently good people. There's something good in them. And most of them don't intentionally harm other people. I really believe that. I know there's some people out there that are a little bit, off, and they do evil and they project that evil out into the world. But I personally believe that most of the offenses that happen in our relationships don't happen because we intend to throw a rock at someone. They might happen because we got hurt, and the only way we know how to respond is to pick up the rock and throw it back. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just was trying to make my pain go away. Or I didn't realize how insensitive it was when I said that. Or I didn't realize how touchy that was. Or I didn't know that your offender buttons were hanging out so far. I really believe that most of the time we don't intentionally hurt each other in our relationships. But even if we did, even if I woke up one day and said, I'm going to try to offend everybody I come in contact with today. Everybody's going to get an offensive comment from Ted. And I walked through my whole day just offending people, cutting people off, being rude, sarcastic, cynical, slobbering on people, whatever, just all day long. How it affects them is determined by them, not even by me, the offender. Let me illustrate this for you. If somebody hurt you a long time ago in your journey, they are now gone. They are out of the picture of your life. They moved away. They don't exist. They died. You can't contact them. The only way that you can move beyond that offense is by work that you do inside of yourself. If you're waiting for them to come back to you and go, you know what, I'm really sorry that I offended you. I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that I picked on you. I'm sorry that I called your name. Sorry that I shaped bad beliefs in you. I'm sorry that I created bad agreements for you. I apologize, please forgive me. If you're waiting on that to move forward with your life, what happens if it never occurs? The only way you move forward with your life is by decisions that you make. That's why every offense that comes into my life is not by the offender. How it affects me is determined by me. I get to choose. I get to choose. Well, that's a hard truth for us because, right, once again, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, and sometimes it's just easier to blame other people, right? It's easier to hang the label. They're an idiot. And you know what? Sometimes they are. Sometimes they just don't know better. Or, they've been hurt, so they try to hurt me. But I get to choose at any given moment how offended I'm going to be and how affected I'm going to be by the jabs of other people around me. So what does it look like for you? Take a little inventory of your life and all the offenses that have come your way, all the things that you're kind of clinging on to, you know, that give you a little bit of a crutch to go, gosh, I'm a little bit of a victim here. They hurt me, they jabbed me, they tried to intentionally. That's fine, whatever. How are you going to respond to it? You going to let it go? Or are you going to keep hanging on? Don't take anything personally. If you've been hanging on to something, let it go. We should have a surrender Sunday, some Sunday, where we just like all week long, take a little journal, and we write down all of the things that people have ever done to offend us. All of them. The big stuff, right? Write it all down. We should come to church. And then all of those people that have offended us, we should call them on speakerphone. No. Just kidding. We should have some like funeral pyre right here for all of our offenses. Just put it in a big pot, burn it up, walk away free. Maybe you should do that at home. Just write it all down, crumple it up, burn it, walk away free. You get to determine how everything affects you. It's your choice. All right, here's the last one. Here's the last one. Now, this is where it gets a little bit stickly. Okay? So if your prickly buttons are out, tuck them in. To be offended or to take things personally is ultimately about your ego, because it puts you in the center of everybody else's thoughts. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Oh, isn't it true, though? If I am so consumed and so worried and so concerned about what other people think about me, what if they aren't even thinking about me? What is that? It's ultimately my selfishness. It's my ego. I've injected myself into their thoughts. Wouldn't you love to be able to do that? Periodically to inject yourself into other people's thoughts? It's like, I'm having a really bad day today. I think I'm going to inject myself into his thoughts, and he's going to think good thoughts about me and give me a call, encourage me, and cheer me up. That'd be awesome. Got a big deal, I need to close today. I'm going to put myself in her thoughts. She's going to call me, close the deal. I'm going to make $1 gazillion. Wow. That would be awesome to be able to inject yourself in other people's thoughts. But you can't. But our ego thinks we can. And so when we're taking offense at all these things that people are doing to us, what we're really doing is it's our ego. It's our ego. We're saying, I am so important in life, in their life, that I have made them do this to me so that I would feel like this. That's all ego. You don't have the ability to put yourself in somebody else's thoughts. That's their choice. But the thought that you do, that's your ego crying out. Every time you take something personally, every time you get offended, it's your choice to do so, and its root is in your ego. I like what Wayne Dyer says about ego, little acronym, edging God out. EGO, ego. So when I push God out of the equation of my life, now I get all prickly, easily offended, take things personally, fragile. When I bring God into my life, when he's at the core, he's at the center. I'm living off of his quiet center. People can say what they want. They can think what they want. They can do what they want. And it has no effect on me, if I so choose. So here's the last thought. One more time, guys. Put this down in your heads. Put this down in your hearts. Next slide, Caleb. What people think of me is none of my business. It's none of your business.